Hello and welcome to this live taste challenge. Two American adjunct lagers. One is the world famous Pabst Blue Ribbon. Well, the company established in 1844. I think Pabst Blue Ribbon was known as Jacob's Best Lager, and then after won the Blue Ribbon in 1893, then they adopted that name. Good date. This is the original Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. Nature's choicest products provide its prized flavor. Only the finest of hops and grains are used, selected as America's best in 1893. Well, they're showing hop cones and barley. And only the finest grains, but yet the price is so low. How did they pull that off? The finest grains, but the lowest price, or one of the lowest price products. Well, I don't know. The magic of Pabst. Landshark Lager, introduced in 2006, brewed in America by Anheuser-Busch for Margaritaville. Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, sold on draft. Oh, nice. On draft at Margaritaville restaurants, in bottles and in cans. In Louisiana, it's mostly bottles. Some states, it's mostly cans. There was a Margaritaville restaurant in the French Quarter in New Orleans. It closed. I don't know why. It seemed to be popular, but it seemed to be popular. Sometimes these chain restaurants do well around Louisiana. Sometimes they don't. All right. Time to roll. Hello, Bryce. Bryce Regel says, hey, Jake. Well, they're the same appearance. Gold, just gold. All right. Same kind of low level head of foam. It's warm today. Got all the windows open, but I would have the fan running if it wasn't going to make noise. It's going to be about 80 degrees, fairly high humidity, mostly cloudy, partly cloudy. 80-degree winter day. All right. I wouldn't have this shirt on if I wasn't on video, you know. That's how we do it in Louisiana. Everybody just wears shorts. No shirt. The women wear tops, of course. Well, unless you're in New Orleans on Bourbon Street. Okay. You might be saying, "Ooh, I want to go there. I want to see all that." Actually, if you did, you'd be saying, "Oh, these are people who should never do that." Okay. Smell like cereal grain, fermented cereal grain. You know what I'm saying? Same thing here, but less aroma. So which is which so far? Couldn't tell you at all. I really don't know. Taste time. Cheers. Remember, Pabst is 4.8. Landshark 4.6. Not much of a difference. They use two-row and caramel malt, they say, for the Margaritaville. It's premium price, though. See, Margaritaville, I got Pabst for $9.99, a 12-pack yesterday, Sunday. But for that same price, or 50 cents less, I only get a 6-pack of Margaritaville. They pricing it like Corona beer. Oh no. They're both medium body and they have a crisp finish. Easy drinking. Good for this warm weather. Oh yes. If it's 80 degrees in February, guess what it's going to be like in July? Okay. But that's Louisiana. But so this has more of like a sour lager taste. I'm rooting for Pabst. I'm rooting for Pabst too because it's cheaper and I can't say it's easier to find. Walmart might sell it. I don't remember if they do. Depends, those stores. But Mathern's has it. Mathern's is 1 mile from here, and then I mean, you see Landshark even a convenience store sometimes. I know you see that convenience stores. All right, in a 6-pack or a 12-pack. Panthers rule. Let's go Pabst. But of course, you see Pabst everywhere. Every store in America, I think. Except Walmart. That Walmart half a mile away, no Pabst. Except for the tall can. Well, what am I saying? I bought the tall can there. Okay, never mind. They have singles of it, but they don't have the 12-packs or the 6-packs. Okay, never mind. Retraction. I see the Landshark delivery truck all the time in my area. I've seen those around. They're delivering any kind of Anheuser-Busch product, though. It's a nice looking label. I mean, Landshark, it's a good presentation. It looks nice. Can't say it doesn't. The website's nice. Everything about it is kind of like higher class and all of that. It's just the price. I'm tasting 2 lagers right here. They fine, But would I pay more one over the other? No. Yeah, beach theme. Yeah, well, because Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett's whole concept is based on that. I have his most famous album. Great album. Before I got into craft and Euro beer, I used to like Landshark. Also, Old Milwaukee Normal. The red can that had a nice Saz hop taste, says Lurk. Yeah, you're right. It definitely has a hop thing going on. I used to say it's bitter, but I wasn't used to any kind of hops. But I mean, I got used to them pretty fast. I'm getting it. I still like Old Milwaukee. Me too. I'm getting close, y'all. This one has kind of like a wine taste, like Chardonnay. And Pabst uses Carlsberger yeast, which gives it a. When I first started tasting Pabst in 1996, I said, "What is this weird flavor?" Carlsberg yeast developed by the Carlsberg people. It's a common yeast, but I used to always say, "What's this weird flavor?" And then I found out. Okay, and it is the Pabst. Haha! I knew it. Look, a little bit of hop action, but you know, a little bitty bit. Landshark is fine. You remind me of a founding father. Thank you, Canada fan, 1982. It's almost your birthday. April 1982. April 1982. Queen Elizabeth signs the law giving Canada control over her own constitution. The Canada Act. I should buy it again. A lot of people don't realize that. It hadn't even been 40 years ago. Canada could not amend her. See, when I was a child in school, we were taught that a country is referred to as her history. And then later people say, oh, that's not right. I said, well, that's what I was taught. The British Parliament had to approve any changes to the Canadian Constitution because the Canadian Constitution was a British law called the British North American Act. But after years of negotiation, and it was going on forever, then they decided that they would pass that. And then, so now Canada could change her own constitution without permission from the British Parliament. So some people say that's when Canada became a independent country. It depends who you're talking to, you know, it's just all a progression. Lurk is very fresh. Yep, it's sad we remain subjects of the British. I want American freedom. You may not want that. Okay, how do you think Pabst would do against Keystone? Keystone Premium? That no longer exists, says Jason Cleveland. Well, it'd probably be Pabst would win. Keystone was never that great. It's kind of sour tasting. Wasn't bad. And anyway, but when's the last time you seen Keystone? I used to buy it to collect the cans. Now, listen, okay. I don't have to pour anymore because I know who won. Pabst is a little better, and it's a whole lot cheaper. You're not British subjects because Canada has its own, controls her own constitution today. Your only connection is that Queen Elizabeth of England is also the Queen of Canada. Canada has its own parliament. They have their own Supreme Court. There's 3 branches of government in most countries, right? Legislative, Canada has its own legislature. Judiciary, Canada has its own judiciary. Executive, that's the leader. Well, okay, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Canada and Great Britain share the same chief executive, Queen Elizabeth II. Oh, well, she seems like a nice person. Of course, when she glares at people hard, I don't know. I seen her looking hard at Meghan. She was glaring at her hard. I said, boy, I wouldn't be driving fast through Paris if I were you. Okay. But, you know. Here's an article from National Geographic magazine in 1980. Canadian independence, says Lurk, is a touchy topic for sure. I don't think it's Britain causing our problems, laughing out loud. Yeah, you're causing your own problems. Upper Canada and Lower Canada history is also interesting. Right, Upper Canada, Ontario, up the river. Lower Canada, Quebec, down the river, up the river, and down the river. We know those terms in Louisiana because everything here is up river or down river. But anyway, anyhow, here's a bar room in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 1980. And there's children sitting at the bar. And that is something you will still see in New Orleans. They're all having a good time drinking beer. And the lady's about to pour some Bonnet. Well, she's just holding it up for effect for the camera. But it looks like she's about to pour Bonnet brandy. And there's some Crown Royal in the background and Tanqueray. I see Cuddy Sark. Canadian Club, Seagram's VO, Jim Beam. People say, oh, you mean the same stuff you still see today? Yeah. And Pabst Blue Ribbon. So there they are in a bar. And there's two kids, a little girl and a boy sitting at the bar. In New Orleans, there's no law against children at the bar. They just can't drink unless they're with their parents and at least 12 years old. Here's a man pouring the hops, looks like real hop flowers. It doesn't look like pellets, into the brew kettle at Pabst Brewing. I remember when they came on in the newspaper in 1997 and they said Pabst Brewing Company's brewery is closing in Milwaukee. I was like, oh man, that's bad news. That's like the worst news I've heard since they said Bill Clinton got elected. All right, but here is here's the three guys in 1980 with the three prominent Milwaukee. There's the brewmaster of Schlitz, or the president of Schlitz, the president of Miller, and the president of Pabst. And the president of Pabst took the author on a tour of their brewery, and he said, this guy Mule. It says, yet few industry observers believe that August Pabst, the Uhlens of Schlitz, or the Miller family will ever be at the helms of Milwaukee's great breweries again. And they were right. Brewmaster Joseph Mule showed me why. It was the favorite beer in Milwaukee. He talks about wort. Oh, we use a special strain of Carlsberg yeast, which gives our beer a slightly winey taste. We also let the yeast set its own pace. It can take anywhere from 7 to 10 days for the yeast to act on most of the sugars in the world. Sugars in the wort, excuse me. In 1970, Philip Morris, the cigarette company, bought Miller Brewing, and other outside companies have eyed both Schlitz and Pabst. And we know what happened. 2 years later, an outside company did buy Schlitz. So this was right on the cusp of the end of the heyday when the dominoes started to fall. Well, actually, the dominoes already started to fall because Miller, like they said, got bought out by Philip Morris in 1970. And when you think about it, it was a perfect buyout because what pairs better than cigarettes and beer? Not a whole lot, right? Kind of like the perfect match. A cigarette company buying a beer company. And they sold it in 2016, 6 years ago. Ron, Lurk says, Ron, did you know that in Canada, people that don't speak French and English are barred from government top jobs? 20% speak English and French. 20% of Canadians speak French and less than 5% speak both. It sounds like some screwball bull crap that they've been doing since 1982 when Quebec See, the Quebecians were all so angry about the Canada Act because they said that's a plot to entrench the British Crown in Canada, which it did do, because they didn't want to be under the British Crown. And secondly, to make it legally impossible for Quebec to ever secede from Canada, which it did do. Even though they had an election, which failed, the Canadian Supreme Court said, well, that was just an election. It didn't mean you had the right to break away. Just like Scotland, they voted to break away from England, but then that failed. The vote failed anyway. But then even the British Supreme Court said, well, that's just a referendum expressing people's interest, because legally you can't break away unless the parliament would approve it. So, I mean, it was like, you know, sort of like a big hoopla over nothing. It's an old law from when Quebec was fighting for its culture. Yeah, I remember all of that. Oh, believe me. They all swear to. Okay. My country is practically in revolt right now, says Canada Fan. Well, maybe it's their Boston Tea Party moment, right? Maybe not. So let's look at Pabst. Back to Pabst. I might do a video in a little while about the Russia-Ukraine situation. I might call it Russia versus Ukraine. What is America's role? Well, that'd be a great video. You don't get that whiny note until it sort of warms a little bit. If it's ice cold, I don't think you get the wine note. But if it starts to warm just a little bit, it starts to evidence itself. That's quite the question, says Lurk. Well, best wishes to Canada. I've been to Canada many times. Been years since I've been there, but went to see the Toronto Blue Jays twice. Had some good meat pies in Toronto. Went to the Parliament there, toured the Senate, the House of Commons. They were doing work in it, they said. But went to capital of Fredericton, capital of New Brunswick. Went to the capital of Prince Edward Island, which is really just a small town. Like their Capitol building would be like our little parish council building. But it still was a capital, you know, they have a lieutenant governor representing the Queen. They have a premier who's the head of the government, the manager of the government. They have their own legislature, their own little court system. It's a very country, rural place, Prince Edward Island. We went to Nova Scotia. We went to Prince Edward Island. We went to New Brunswick. We went to Ontario. We didn't really go to. We went to Quebec City, Dufferin Terrace. You want my province? I'm from Moncton. I went to your province. Yeah, Moncton. We went to Moncton. When we were on the tour of the capital in Prince Edward Island, Charlottetown, I think it's called, Charlotte's Web. The tour guide says, you see this purple chair? It was like a chair, just like a wooden chair. It was nice chair with velvet wood, a purple velvet, you know, like the Crown Royal bags. He says, do you know that only one person on this planet Earth is allowed to sit in that chair? I said, oh, really? He said, only Queen Elizabeth II is allowed to sit in that chair. She is the only person who has ever sat in that chair. I was tempted to sit in it, but I didn't want to get arrested. And it would be disrespectful and treason. And I wouldn't want to commit treason even in another country. But you know, you're tempted because people have bad intentions in their heart sometimes. And you want to be rebellious. And it's terrible. We were in church, and that was one of the readings this week. When King David, but he wasn't King David then, he was just David. And King Saul was trying to kill him. because King Saul was like paranoid. He went mad. He was paranoid. He was like Tony Montana. He was like, oh, let's just say, I'm just, what do they say? Paranoid. He was paranoid. And so he was trying to kill David. But then they went to sleep, and then they were on the other side of this canyon. And David and his assistant snuck over there, and Saul was sleeping, and all the people were sleeping. And David's assistant said, here's a spear. This is your chance. They're sleeping. They're whispering, He said, I'll stab him right through the heart with this spear. And he said, I'm only going to stab him once. It's in the Bible. He said, it's only going to take me one thrust, and he's out. He's out. He's dead. I'm not going to hit him twice. I'm going to hit him one time, and he's dead. The man that's been trying to kill you, and you can take him out. And then David said, wait a minute. I cannot raise my hand against the Lord's anointed. God anointed him king, and I'm going to put a spear through his back. He said, give me the spear in the water jug. We're going back across the canyon. Then he told Saul, look, I could have killed you, but I didn't. I can't raise my hand against God's anointing. So I saw that chair. That was my American, because in America, Americans are raised to hate kings and queens. But I didn't do it, But anyway, it's a very fascinating visit to Canada. I loved it. And they had great coffee. And they smoked cigarettes. Every Canadian I saw smoked cigarettes. All right. Laughing out loud, says Canada fan. You should have done it. I don't think I could have resisted the temptation to do so. No, I wouldn't do something so disrespectful. I think a person that does that should be shot. Well, maybe not shot, but slapped around a little bit. Okay, I don't think the Queen is ever going to get around to it. But that's not Ron's style. Maybe when he was younger, a good story. No, I wouldn't do something like that. But it was interesting, But she does go there from time to time. She's visited Prince Edward Island. And they were saying, look at this. They said, look at this silverware. I've never seen such fancy silverware. All these punch bowls and those things, the punch cups, the glass. It's not a glass because it's made out of silver. They said Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip gave this to us in 1967 for Canada's anniversary, and they just say, look at it. I said, well, it's pretty nice. They didn't let us drink out of it, The English deported your ancestors, says Canada fan. Oh, the Acadians, the Acadians. Well, they had no choice. They told them, they said, look, you got to take an oath of allegiance to King George, or we have to kick you out. They said, I'm not taking an allegiance to him. I'm French. I serve King Louis XV. They said, oh, that's no problem. Just get out. So they deported them all they went to Massachusetts, Louisiana, and back to France. But they couldn't have these people living in their country because if the French army arrived, they would all rise up and help the French. So they told them, get out. So they kicked them out. Now, some stayed because they said, oh, well, I don't care about politics. I'll take an oath. I just want to do my farming work, but most of them left. They kicked them out, the Acadians. Oh, well, that's not my problem. That's how I wound up in Louisiana. I'm glad they kicked them out. I don't have to live in that cold weather. Askew humidity, blah, 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 says beer went up 65 cents. Oh, it went up a lot. Hunter Biden has a lot of business interests in Ukraine. That's probably why they're taking Ukraine's side. But anyway, in all seriousness, folks, Pabst is the winner, but it's not a big winner. But it is a big winner. It's not a big winner in taste, but it is a big winner by virtue of the fact that it's way cheaper. So why would I pay twice the price for Landshark when it's not even as good as Pabst Blue Ribbon. Short story long, because you know with me it's short story long. I wouldn't do it. I think it's hard to compare times of war before nuclear bombs to our current politics and times. I agree, but I'm anti-war all the way, before nuclear weapons and after nuclear weapons. So I think I'm going to do that video soon after the top of the hour. I have some good ideas about this Russo-Ukrainian conflict. If I was the president of the United States, then blah, 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 blah. All right, thanks for watching. Pabst won. Who's Pabst going to go up against next? How would Pabst do against Dos Equis? Ooh. How would Pabst do against Red Stripe? Ooh. How would Pabst do against? The possibilities are endless, you all. The possibilities are truly endless. You tried the new Pabst? I don't think it's new, but they raised the alcohol content to 6.5, says Dole, 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 Dole. Oh, you talking about this? Pabst Blue Ribbon Extra. You know I bought a 12-pack as soon as I got the chance. I liked it, but it's too strong. Anything above 6%, I don't like to drink it. It's too strong. My friend David wanted to buy like endless 12-packs. He was like desperate. Like, who's selling it? Who's selling it? I said, man, I don't know. They never sold it here, but they sold it in Kenner City, Louisiana. Anyway, oh yeah. I'm on this. You know, I keep up with these things. Okay, well, see y'all in a little while. We're going to talk politics. Probably half my friends will betray me, but that's all right because they're not true friends. If you don't want to be my friend over politics, get away from me. I don't want to be around you because you're disloyal. I don't betray my friends over politics. I have friends that have ridiculous ideas about politics, laughable ideas, contemptible ideas, ideas to which I have no respect, but I don't unfriend them. I try to educate them. Yep, that's the one. Anyway, I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care. I got to do it. I will do it. I will do it. Thank you for watching this video production.